Hi guys, it's Nicole Jones from the Physio crew, and today I am going to talk to you a little bit about some of the articles that I've been reading. So one of the goals that I set myself this week was to every single day read an article and to write a blog on it. Now this was a lot harder than I anticipated because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I wanted to read all of the information. So of course, as soon as I was reading the systematic review, I wanted to read all of the other bits of research to see where they were getting their ideas from and whether I agreed, even though they actually probably a lot smarter than I am. I still have this burning desire to read everything and make sure that I've actually decided for myself that I agree with it as well. And so the article I was reading yesterday was all about divarification, and so what that is when pregnant women their hormones start to change, what can happen is their rectus abdominis, so their 6-pack or 8-pack muscle, will begin to split slightly, and that's to do with the hormonal changes, and it can also be to do with weak abdominal muscles, so that can have an effect as well. As the lady goes through the pregnancy, what can happen is as the mechanical pressures change, so as the baby grows, it can put a lot of pressure on, and that can cause that sort of splitting out of the rectus abdominis. Diastasis is what they call it, which is a really big, long, silly word, but it basically means a gap in between the rectus abdominis muscles. So this particular systematic review was not able to conclude that there was strong evidence for exercises, and that was just down to the fact that they didn't have enough studies which were robust enough, had enough numbers, and they were using a lot of in this systematic review, they were using a lot of things like case studies, and unfortunately a case study is not very reliable, because if you take me for example, and then you take another woman who's 10 years older than me, second child, third child, has diabetes, like there's so many different variants that it's very difficult to look at sort of case studies and compare anybody, because one woman might have a fantastic effect with doing strengthening exercises and another one didn't. And I've had that experience as a physio. You know, I've seen people who've done really well, and I would automatically attribute that to being the fact that, you know, that fantastic, I did the exercises, but it might not be that. It could be that she was younger, that it was her first child. Lots of reasons that I'm not aware of, and that's what's so frustrating when you're looking at systematic reviews, is they're really good, they're the gold standard, but actually finding enough robust evidence for it is really difficult, because they just don't do the big enough clinical trials. And I think as physios we need to take a level of responsibility, and I'm hoping that when we've got our rehab centre, we've got big numbers of clients coming through, we'll be able to do research ourselves into different diseases, different pathologies, so we can see exactly what's working and what isn't. But you need big numbers to be able to get clinical significance. So this particular systematic review looked at lots of different some case studies, some RCTs. So RCTs have got better reliability, and it was looking at sort of exercises, and they found that actually antenatal and postnatal both seem to benefit from doing some exercises, but when they pooled all the results, they couldn't recommend that. Now, in terms of what we do when we do an assessment is we would look at the distance in between the two rectus abdominis muscles, so the border of where it's split, and so we sort of look and see how much smaller we can make it following pregnancy, so postpartum or in antenatal. Then what we would be doing is trying to make sure that you're maintaining. So my recommendation for you is the evidence did show that people who were doing exercise prior to pregnancy actually did better, and they think that's probably because the abdominal wall was stronger. So therefore when the hormones started to change and the muscle and the connective tissue was relaxing, then the muscles were doing the job and keeping everything nice and tight. So my recommendation is before you get pregnant, in the early stages, so first trimester, don't sort of think, oh, I'm not going to do anything because it's really early, there's no mechanical pressure because the baby's not there. Start doing gentle core stomach exercises. Now when we say core exercises, I do not mean sit-ups. Sit-ups are not good for this particular problem because of the connection point. So it attaches from here, and then the pubic symphysis, which is lower down. So as a lever, if you've got those two bits and you're pulling from here and here, that will cause the rectus abdominis to split. So definitely not sit-ups, but looking at doing stuff that focuses on the transversus abdominis. Maggie's the best person to speak to. She's our pregnancy lady, so she's physio, but she's got a bit more experience in that particular area, and looks at sort of doing really deep muscular exercises. So things like lying on your back in crook lying, so that's lying on your back with your knees bent and gently pulling the abdominal wall back towards the spine, so just very gently pulling in. And then you can progress that exercise by doing things like lifting the knee, dropping the knee out, lots of different things that don't put any pressure on the baby, and something that you can be doing literally before you get pregnant. Now obviously we have to change those up a little bit during different periods of pregnancy, because there's at some point you're not allowed to sort of lie on your back for too long, so we would look at that and give you a program that would be appropriate. Or go and see, if you're in Scotland, wherever you are, go and see your local physio and get a program that can help. And as I said, we will have to wait for robust evidence that says it's absolutely brilliant for this population group, but at the moment we've got to go on the RCTs that we've supplied. Anecdotally, I've treated lots of people with it and they've done well, and there was one particular study that showed actually doing this exercises before delivery, they actually found that within 48 hours after delivery they had a positive effect. The diastasis was smaller, which is great, because that's what we hope. When the mechanical pressure relaxes, then the two sort of parts of the muscle come back together. So I hope that's been helpful, guys. I will post a link as well so you can see the actual blog post on it, and if you have any questions you can ask me. I'll probably refer you on to seeing Maggie, because although I've seen people with it because they've requested it, I'm not a specialist. I don't see 10-15 people a day, but even though I'm not a specialist, I've still seen really good results. So try and do some exercises to get yourself nice and fit and the best that you can be, and reduce your risk of diastasis during pregnancy. Okay, hope that's been helpful, guys. Speak to you soon.